Guys, we have Mahmoud Al-Durrah.
He's like, are you sure we can't get pregnant? I'm like, listen, I've been on a cycle for 2 years now. So for sure, there's nothing there. And then I'm having a nap. I'm a firm believer in high protein diets, especially when you're on a cycle. 500 test. You gotta bump those numbers up. If I'm paying $1,000 for nice basketball tickets, I wanna see the motherfucker fly halfway across the stadium. I will either crawl out of this life that I'm in and become world champion, or I'm going to die. And if I'm not meant to die, then I'm going to win that show. If I complain to one of my boys about something, like just bitching about whatever, he goes, how much tests are you taking? And I'm like, well, you know, I'm on TRT now. I'm like on 200. He goes like, that's why you're acting like a little bitch. If you're gonna go under 400, bro, just don't complain, don't talk to me. People back in Egypt who use Tren a lot, they gave sociopath vibes. Even when they talk, like their eyes are like all widen up and you know they kind of talk like that. And that's Tren. Tren does that. Literally fries your brain. There were days where I ate 8,800 calories. And I used insulin in that prep too.
Jesus Christ.
So you guys gotta be careful with, aside from the other side effects that we know, is a thing. And after you reach a certain point, you're after that.
What's the cycle that you use for Mr. Olympia?
First of all,
before starting this podcast, I just wanted to say that ideating steroids for a full show is not widely accepted because it discounts the real work, which is the backbone of this sport. And unfortunately spreads that an unsafe chemical solution is all you need for results. Both of these are antithetical to society's understanding of the sport. And while there will always be some that claim that PEDs are all you need, I would like to deliver an honest message of what is required for achieving top performance, as well as the dangers associated with this route. I received this comment from a user named Nightscarens. But just as a rock climber, the athletes undergoing this path in the sport are willing to put their life on the line for their passion. Just the danger between the two sports is different. Luckily, we do have safety nets in the sport, such as organ imaging and regular blood work. But that doesn't change the high risk one must accept in taking on this competitive lifestyle.
I want my kid to be something. Anything.
Yeah. Same thing with the Asians.
Hello.
My parents just preferred me to be a fucking doctor.
I graduated as an engineer, actually. I have an engineering degree.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, I graduated as an engineer too, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. What type of engineer?
Mechanical.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mechanical boys.
What about? Oh, you're mechanical too?
No, I'm civil.
Civil? Nice.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah,
Cool,
bro.
Yeah, it is.
Something to say about, engineer bodybuilders. I feel like it's a common thing.
It is common, and usually they're the ones who actually make money in the industry.
Oh, really? You think so?
I think so.
Why do you say that?
I say that probably because I have money. I don't know. I just assume all engineers who are also bodybuilders make the same thing or do the same thing.
Yeah, they got to.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't make the best money, but I definitely make at least the amount that I would make as an engineer, if not a little bit better for sure. So,
Probably better. I'd guess
Yeah.
better. Engineers don't make... Bro, I mean,
it's a little hard to tell being in LA, though, because...
yeah, because everything in LA is super expensive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But, I mean, other than that, though, I'm so much happier. Even if obviously our work hours are literally like from sunrise to sunset, basically. Or not
And you work
sunset
whatever
till night.
you work whenever you
sleep.
want.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think my work... Who was saying this? I think Vigor Steve was saying this. Maybe Greg was saying this too. But now we work like 12, 14 hours a day. But
Really?
I work at least 12 hours a day for sure.
I work like 3.
What?
Yeah.
What did you do?
Sometimes I don't work at all.
What the fuck is this?
Yeah. I used to work a lot. Not anymore. Now I just film YouTube videos and sim race all day.
And it just takes 3 hours
Yeah.
to film that shit?
No, that takes even less. It takes 10 minutes and then I send it to my editors. Because all my employees are from Egypt, so they're cheaper.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a team in Sri Lanka, and then
There you go.
it's cheaper for sure.
Yeah, like-
obviously the communication, it's taken like a good whole year to build up an understanding of what's necessary for
Like what you want them to do
a
exactly.
sufficient final product, but the investment was worth it, because now I'm like, if I invested this into, I would probably be spending like 3 times as much. I'd probably be spending, say, like $3,000 a month instead of like $1,000 a month.
Exactly. If you're hiring locals.
Mm-hmm.
No, so for me, my work is, I wake up, I have breakfast, I go to the gym, I film a YouTube video and then I sim race all day. I have a simulator at home.
But you're also a retired bodybuilder.
Yeah, I don't compete anymore. I competed in 2022. That was my last show.
So the lifestyle was probably completely different before then.
100%.
Okay, here it is.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for. Still after this though, you got to tell me how you fucking work 3 hours and still be this successful, because that's what I need right now, bro. I'm fucking struggling.
Okay,
Shit.
yeah, I'll tell you.
But anyways, real quick, I just want to do this intro. But guys, we have Mahmoud.
Yeah, that's how you spell it. Mahmoud. Yeah, Mahmoud Al-Durrah.
Dude, I need to start asking people what their names are before I start a podcast.
So everyone knows me as Durrah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But your first name, how do you pronounce it again?
Mahmoud. So it's
Mahmoud.
you don't say the H.
So we have Mahmoud Al-Durrah.
Yeah.
Nice. The Durrah. Is there a reason why
The Durrah?
it's just the Durrah?
The Durrah, because my last name is Durrah, right? D-U-R-R-A-H.
Yeah.
And the Durrah, I guess, because I saw once the Dorian Yates. That was his Instagram. So I just used the and just added the Durrah.
I was thinking about calling mine the Niga. Maybe I should call it my Niga.
Is it Niga or Nile?
My last name's Niga.
Okay,
Yeah.
Nile Niga?
Yeah.
Okay.
I once had my username as Niga Please, but then it was like banned from Instagram.
Oh, that is hilarious. Naga, please. I'd do something like that. That's funny.
Anyways, guys, we have the Durrah. So he's the knowledgeable IFBB pro Olympian and coach with about like 1.4 million subs on YouTube.
Yeah.
And your YouTube is pretty sick, man. I wish I could understand it at all, but everything you cover though is really dope.
Sometimes it's easier for it to be in Arabic, so I don't get canceled from all the shit we say.
Makes sense.
Yeah, the Arabs don't give a shit. You know,
That's nice.
you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, people give a lot of shits these days,
Yeah,
but that's what the podcast is for.
it is what it is. Yeah,
Hopefully, all the shits that we say is somewhere hidden in this 2-hour episode, so it's harder for people to target.
Yeah, absolutely.
But everything that you cover on your podcast, so you cover a lot of bodybuilding things. I noticed that you were discussing Wesly visitors and Ramon Dino in one of your videos.
Yeah.
Which I'm curious about what you discuss in there too. And then you also discuss relationships. And then you have some like motivational videos as well from stuff that you've been posting since like before 2021.
Oh, like I've been doing this, I guess, since I immigrated to Canada.
Okay.
All the motivational stuff. Yeah, and then like I went hard on YouTube. I think 2016. It was the year that I decided, okay, I have to turn pro this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you start bodybuilding? Like, what was the? I guess if I was the fly on the wall.
Okay, so I started bodybuilding in Egypt, 2007.
How old were you then? Do you remember?
I was 18 years old.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I used to draw comics, and then I used to watch a lot of Dragon Ball.
Bro, same.
Yeah, I have a Majin Vegeta signed tattoo on my back.
That's fucking sick, dude. Yeah. Oh shit!
And
I thought that was like the sickest tat as a kid.
I know. Oh, yeah. So one day I was like, I wanna look like this guy.
Yeah.
And I started hitting the gym, and then there was a coach at the gym who saw me train. I was like very dedicated and stuff. And like I was never into partying and all that kind of shit. And then he said, "Hey, I see you train all the time and you come here every day. What is your goal? Like, do you just want to like look fit, for like the summer beach and stuff?" And I remember saying, "I want to be a fucking freak, And then he just smiled. He's like, "All right, okay, we can work with that." So he coached me a little bit to my first show. It was the University and Collegiate Nationals. I didn't place, and then I competed the next year, and then I placed 11th, and then I had a motorcycle accident. I split my kneecap in half, and I had shoulder surgery. And
what year was this?
2007, 2008.
Oh, so same year, same time that you started bodybuilding.
Yeah, it was around that time. So maybe actually, now that I remember, maybe my first show was like 2006.
Okay.
So I competed again, and I placed fourth. And then finally, I won the year after that. I won in 2009. And I won it naturally. I won that show naturally. And after...
What was the division? Was it open?
It was under 75 kilos.
Okay.
What's that in pounds, I think it was like under 170, under 165. I wasn't heavy. Yeah, probably 175, middleweight. Yeah. So after I won that, that's when I decided, okay, I can take this to the next level now. And then after that, shortly after that, I graduated, moved to Canada. I worked as an engineer for a little bit. And then I moved to Canada in 2011. And then I started all over, like my whole life all over.
What do you mean by whole life all over?
Like I was dirt poor, like broke as shit. Like nothing to my name. And I had a kid at the time.
Damn, crazy.
Yeah. Then my wife got pregnant again.
Damn.
And the reason she got pregnant again is like the dumbest thing ever. Because like we were always told like steroids are going to make you, you know, impotent and you won't have any kids and all that stuff. So after the first kid, I remember the second time she even told me that she was pregnant. Because like, you know, we were having unprotected sex and everything. And she's like, you know, are you sure we can't get pregnant? I'm like, listen, I've been on a cycle for 2 years now. So I was like, for sure, there's nothing there. For sure, there's nothing there. And then I'm having a nap, and then she pokes me like, hey, wake the fuck up. She's like, I'm pregnant again. And I'm like, oh, shit. Oh, God.
Damn, that is insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wrap it up, boys. Fuck.
Yeah. I got a vasectomy now, so I'm safe.
Wow, that is insanity, dude. Oh, man. It's definitely happened several times. I know other stories, too. Guys on gear. So I tell people, like, if you want to, you know, maintain your fertility, just like this, the thing that I learned from Bigger Steve, like run HCG. I used to cycle it, but like run it, you can run it year round too. But
I wasn't even like, using HCG.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing, huh?
It's genetic. Everything is genetic when it comes to gear.
When did you start?
2010. I did my first cycle was 6 weeks of Anavar. And I was dieting for the same show, but the year after, I placed 5th, I think. It's funny. I won it naturally. Then and the year after that, I used Anavar and placed worse. But I guess there were better competitors at the time. And then after that, I saw my body like responding kind of well. And then I did my first cycle. And I remember 2010, I think it was around October, September. Maybe it was my birthday where I took my first shot. And I did, it was, so I started with 400 milligrams of test. And I remember because my best friend was doing it too. And I was on also, I think 400 milligrams of primobolan.
Okay.
And I remember after like a month or 5 weeks.
It's a muscle ratio.
I remember we had the conversation like, bro, are you feeling, do you look any different? And he's like, no. I'm like, yeah, me neither. I'm like, just my pumps are better. And that was like my first surprise. And I think that's most people's surprise. Like they think they're going to jump on gear and everything's going to change. Nothing really happens that drastically.
Yep.
So then I increased my dose to 750. And then I changed the primobolan to equipoise. And I used 500. And then I started seeing results.
Really?
And then I added anadrol at 50 milligrams a day. Anadrol. 50 milligrams a day for 4 weeks. Then I saw real results. Then it was like, the change was like, okay, there it is.
You don't think that was just temporary or water weight?
Of course it was water weight, but you're also building a lot of muscle.
Yeah.
When you have a lot of, water weight isn't so bad because water weight, you're able to lift more. Your joints are more protected.
Yeah.
So you're able to push more weight. And when you push more weight, you build more muscle. So given the fact that you're eating very well,
right,
and you're utilizing that extra strength, then you're building more muscle.
I just always like playing devil's advocate in like these kind of conversations though, because there's a lot of people who, there's the perception that you jump on a cycle and you get fucking huge, like just like that. And I think that's because people have the perception of like, for example, when someone's on a Tren cycle or you're on like a really big cycle with both like Masteron and Winstrol, like within 8 weeks or something, you're going to look pretty fucking different than you did week 1, right?
If you're dieting
if you're dieting,
yeah.
Versus like, you come off of that, say that you weren't eating any calories or like you were in a hard deficit during that whole cycle. I personally believe that the amount of muscle mass that you built in that cycle is little to none because you just weren't eating the food that you were supposed to.
Okay, so you're saying that if you do the same cycle without eating, that you won't really gain much. Is that what you're saying?
if you're doing like the cycle that I said, for example, without eating the calories, without being in a surplus, you're not going to gain actual muscle tissue. Like when you come off the cycle again, I don't expect your weight to be very different at the exact same body fat percentage and water retention.
But I mean, I think food, obviously. So what I always say is that steroids just allows you to do more. So it increases nitrogen retention in the body, which increases protein synthesis. So basically, in a different kind of way, like your body's telling you, listen, if you eat more protein, I'll be able to use it to build more muscle. And that's why if you're on Masteron or whatever drug you're on, the more I'm a firm believer in high protein diets, especially when you're on a cycle. And it's not just it's not just being on a caloric surplus diet. Like you need high protein to build actual muscle. Like, do you remember what Ronnie Coleman, how many grams of protein Ronnie Coleman?
Fucking ridiculous.
600 a day. 600 grams of protein a day.
My fucking farts would explode.
A lot of things would explode. Yeah, a lot of things would explode. But yeah, I think food is very dependent, or your gains are very dependent on food.
Yeah.
But also the juice does help you grow.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure. If you're dieting for a show and you're in a caloric deficit versus you dieting for a show being on gear, it's night and day difference. You're going to shrink so much dieting to a show without gear. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's 100% true. So like I didn't clarify that, like if you're on that cycle that I was discussing, such as for example, just like Tren, of course you'd have like a test base, but if you're on like Tren or like Master on Winstrol and you're cutting, that's going to help you preserve muscle. So in the long run, it still benefits you with your gains, right? For sure.
Absolutely. Cause even now I'm on a TRT dose, maybe a little bit higher. I don't think if I started with 200 milligrams of test a week that I'd get this big. So yeah, you will lose some, but you will still preserve some of the muscle that you made over the years. It's an accumulation, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're 10 years plus doing this, it's not just going to go disappear.
Yeah, 100%. I think the time is probably most important.
Look at Jay Cutler. He's still jacked.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't find?
No, I do. Yeah, he's still fucking maintained a lot.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
For sure, yeah.
Obviously compared to before, not. But I mean, he still looks decent.
But these guys are also like, I guess what I'm trying to press in the first place is that a lot of these guys, like, they had been running gear for so many years and shoveling so many calories into their body. That's why they're huge, right? Like you don't run a couple cycles and that doesn't just make you huge. Like you have to consume the calories. So it's like those are the building blocks, the things that are actually the substance that makes up your muscles. And then like the gear, for example, is like getting a bunch of more workers to like build that building.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's if someone. And now I kind of see what you're getting at. So like if someone were to jump on one cycle or two cycles and is hoping to make like permanent gains, I don't think that's going to happen. I think once he comes off, most of the gains are going to come off too. I think the only way to actually make permanent or long lasting muscle is being on juice for that many years, consuming that many calories.
Yeah.
And training that much, and I'm talking like 7-10 years, and then you're gonna obviously look monstrous as a competitive bodybuilder, and then once you come off, you're going to shrink down, but the level where you're going to stop shrinking will still be more jacked than everyone else.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Real quick, guys. So while I was looking at the YouTube analytics, I actually saw that 85% of you guys that watch this channel are not subscribed. And I want to ask very little of you guys, but if you enjoy this podcast, if you find value in it, then please do me this one favor and subscribe to the channel, because doing so helps me get bigger and greater guests like the guests you are listening to today. Also, this channel is not sponsored, which means only the companies that I work with, which are Young LA and Huge Supplements, are the companies that can help fund this channel by you guys using the code NILE. So code NILE gives you a discount of 15% off of Young LA, and code NILE also gives you a discount of 10% off of Huge Supplements. And if you decide to purchase anything from any of these companies, it will help immensely for me by using my code. And this way, I can travel to other guests, such as Dr. Mike Israel next week, and also upgrade in equipment to make this podcast bigger and better for you guys. I haven't said this, I guess, in this much detail before, but I just feel like it's a good place to say it. But I noticed that about 3 years, I ate in a deficit to maintenance calories to stay lean. And I didn't run much gear, but whenever I did, I was running Test, Primo, and Masteron in one. And obviously I ran a little bit too much Mass and Primo, so I crushed my estrogen. And then a few other times I would just have like Test and Masteron or like Test and Primo to make myself look drier. But that was over the course of 3 years where I was just basically trying to stay lean and look good. Then the last year, did my first real bulk, and like I'm about to go on to do my first pro show. And the bulk was 500 Test, 500 Primo, and way more calories than I've ever eaten in my entire life, which isn't a lot, but for me it went up to 3,800 calories, and that was for 1 year. And so I gained 0 pounds in those 3 years, but right now at my leanness, I'm sitting at about 13 pounds heavier than the same amount of leanness I was.
Just because of the calories?
I think it's because I finally just actually bulked. I finally just ate the calories.
Yeah.
So even if I was technically running gear last year versus the 2-3 years before that.
Food makes a big difference.
Yeah. Now I'm actually heavier. So.
500 Test. You got to bump those numbers up.
Yeah. I feel like
gotta bump those numbers up now. Yeah.
It's just the first coach I worked with, I told him I was like a little hesitant to, because I haven't really, I don't have very much experience experimenting with PEDs myself at especially higher doses. So I've always been a little bit more like, oh, I like the microdose things to start off, and then like, I don't know why.
Yeah,
but
in Egypt, shit's different, right?
So, how is it in Egypt?
Well, we have, first of all, bodybuilding in Egypt is very different because it's like kind of a life-saving sport. Mm-hmm. So it's mostly a sport for a certain class of people that are like actually hungry, like very living in bad conditions, and they use bodybuilding to kind of get out of the life that they're in.
Oh, that's crazy though. How do they like afford it there?
Everything is cheap.
Just so much cheaper.
Yeah, so much cheaper, especially gear.
Okay.
And you can get it from pharmacies too, right?
Okay. What about like the ancillaries and medications?
So that's the thing. The mentality there is very diehard. Like they don't give a shit.
Gotcha.
Like I will either crawl out of this life that I'm in and become either like an amateur world champion or turn pro or whatever, or I'm going to die.
It's kind of sick though.
It's, you know what? It's fucked because that was kind of the same mentality when I did Canadian Nationals the first time. Mm-hmm. I think that was even my biggest cycle ever, doing Canadian Nationals as a middleweight, because I had to win that show.
Yeah,
I was struggling financially, 2 kids, and in my head it's like, I'm going to win this show or I'm going to die. And if I'm not meant to die, then I'm going to win that show. And that's the mentality in bodybuilding back in Egypt, where health is not really number one. It's getting the physique to compete, to win. That's what's number one. So they don't really care on the health aspect or like blood tests and all that kind of shit.
Oh, damn.
It's I need to get big as fuck and do well. But that's why it's mostly short-lived careers back there. Unless they get sponsored and they make it big, and then they can finally afford all the necessary things that they have to do.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's very different. But yeah, I mean, 500 milligrams, like that's what my friends back there do, and they don't compete. Like dads. Yeah, I swear to God, bro.
Oh shit, that's crazy.
Like, they're taking their families this summer to North Coast, and they're on like 500 milligrams a test just to look good, on the beach with everyone.
Okay.
That's our dad cycle back home. If I it's just reminded me, if I complain to one of my boys about something, like just bitching about whatever, this girl, whatever, he goes, how much tests are you taking? And I'm like, well, I'm on TRT now, like a little bit over. I'm like on 200. He goes like, yeah, see, that's why.
That's why what?
That's why you're acting like a little bitch. Like you gotta don't talk to me if you're gonna go under 400, bro. Just don't complain. Don't talk to me. Get your dose up. See how you feel. Then we'll have this conversation.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. But yeah, 500 for me as a competitive dose.
Okay.
Gotta bump those numbers up.
I care about health a lot, so we're gonna discuss some health stuff. But before that, for the fucking sake of it, if you don't mind me asking, what I guess if 500 sounds like some doses that fucking dads take back there. What would be some doses that
you're competing in a pro show?
Yeah.
750, 800 test
for bulking.
Yeah. Bulking. Oh, bro. I can't. Oh man, I don't want to say this on camera. I'm gonna get scrutinized on camera. I would like with today's standards and everything, with my mentality, I would do 1,000.
Damn.
Yeah.
Throughout like the entire bulk, or well,
4 months, 4-month cycle. I do 1,000 milligrams of test, 600 EQ. Primobolan is lightweight. You know, and you just gotta watch your estrogen. That's all.
Are you not a big fan of Primobolan?
I am, but anything under 1,000 milligrams of Primobolan or 800 is useless.
I've heard that a lot, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah.
Damn, that fucking sucks. Yeah. I've never gone close to 800. Well,
EQ is the next alternative. Deca is also a strong drug.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do like MPP. I have felt great on MPP, which is weird because I think some people don't. But
same thing. It's just a faster acting substance. I've always had doubts with MPP that it was real MPP. I don't know why, but I mean, this is a bro science kind of mentality. Like I'm just being paranoid. But yeah, Deca in general, EQ is the go-to for bulking.
Are you saying this as if it's like from the perspective of me doing this pro show, or are you saying this from the perspective of like an open bodybuilder? Since that you competed in 212, so that is pretty fucking huge.
Yeah, because we're very short, and yeah, man. I'll never forget New York Pro. Holy shit! Seeing Sean Clarida backstage, Goku, bro.
Yeah, it looks fucking nuts.
But no, even in classic now, bro. When you look at the bodybuilders in classic, you guys are looking more and more like normal bodybuilders. Like you just have a better streamlined shape. But when you look at the arms, the chest, the quads, they're all, I'm not talking open bodybuilding. Open bodybuilding today is a completely different ballgame. And I don't think it's even about the doses of test. It's tons of other stuff. IGF-1, LR3, myostatin blockers, crazy high doses of growth hormone, tons of insulin use, and all that with test. Yeah, you get those open bodybuilders. But for classic, I think 1,000. I would still do 1,000 if I was a classic bodybuilder.
Okay. I mean, that makes a little bit more sense. Like this is the first bulking cycle I did, and then the first real bulking cycle I did, and now the first prep for a pro show that I did. And
I would go to 750 at least if you're wary and you're kind of like a little bit, health cautious. I would go. I'm not telling you to do that. Don't do what I tell you to do. But what I would do is I would do 750 easy.
Yeah.
750 and 500 to 600 EQ. Make sure your estrogen is in check. You have your aromasin on the side. And I'd probably add something to just increase my strength and power for the first 4 weeks to get things rolling. Like anything like Dynabol, Anadrol, one of these things. And yeah, you will add water weight, but that water weight with the food and the weights that you're going to push will create denser muscle fibers.
Gotcha. Okay. I think 750 is definitely what I'm going to be doing for the next bulk. But obviously this is all this was in my plan to, I guess, what is the word? Like leave some room in the tank, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. I understand. I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
What do you think about the validity of that?
Leaving room in the tank. So I used to leaving room in the tank. Yeah. I have mixed views on that because there can always be more room in the tank. There is also the other theory that works against you, is that you are running out of time. You are getting older.
Yeah.
So as you get older, you can't cycle as much. So my mentality is, you know what? No, I'm young. I'm going to do everything I can in the coming 2-3 years to get big as fuck. And then I can maintain that size. And then as I get older, I can cycle less and use less gear to maintain that. So I have the opposite.
I see. Okay.
So I will start with 750. And then even when I feel like I am peaking after, let's say, 4 months, I would add another 250. And then I would see a little bit more change and a little bit more growth. And I'd push the cycle to 6 more months, 8 more months. And then obviously I'd switch to starting to diet. I'd compete. I'd bring down to test. I'd change it to maybe 750 again, but then switch to compounds. So when I would compete, I would actually be on cycle for a year or a year plus.
Okay.
Because I'd go through the bulk and immediately from the bulk to the to the competition cycle.
You never like come off compounds at all?
No.
Just switching compounds.
Switching compounds.
Okay.
When I come off, I just lower my dose, and when I was competing, I'd lower my dose to 500. I wouldn't go lower than that.
Okay. Like 500 being kind of like a cruise for you.
Cruiser for me, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you are a 212 competitor, bro. You're pretty fucking massive.
It was it was difficult, and also, mind you, I really wanted to make an impact on my first year, and I did. Like I won a pro show my first year, and I went to the Olympia right away.
Damn.
So that was nice, and I wanted to do that. I don't think that's as special in the West, but for the Middle East to have, you know, a Middle Eastern bodybuilder, and all my content is Middle Eastern. We don't have a lot of guys that right away turn pro, win a pro show, go to the Olympia. Like it takes several years for that. So I really wanted to have like, you know, I really wanted to go in with a bang.
Gotcha.
So it was a plan from the start. 2012 Nationals, I did that. I had another accident. We can get into that later. I had burns all over my body. I came back in 2015, won that. 2016 Legacy Cup North Americas, won that as a light heavyweight. And every year I'm gaining 10, 12 pounds, like jumping weight classes. And then 2017 Legacy Cup North Americas again. That's when I turned pro. And then from that show, cruised, started a cycle. I wanted to do New York Pro as my first show, just because I wanted to be in the mix with all the best guys.
Yeah.
And then I placed fourth. That was my first pro show. New York Pro, 212,
Nice.
fourth. Toronto Pro, 2 months after, third. Vancouver Pro, a month after that, first, and then went to the Olympia.
Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So from 2015 up to 2018, 2019, because I qualified again for the Olympia in 2019, no off, just cruising.
Wait, how many years is that?
So 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 5 years.
How much of that time would you feel like you cruise for? I mean, I know that's super hard to recall, but
So I'd cycle, hard cycling 8 months out of the year. 8 to 9 months out of the year.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's crazy. Huh? People. The thing is with bodybuilders, they lie. They lie. No one's gonna really tell you these things.
Well, I mean, I hear a lot of bodybuilders who also just don't want to talk about it. So, I mean, it's understandable, especially when you're competing at that level, pro level, being an open bodybuilder, a 212 bodybuilder. Like,
I don't
what's
get that. I don't
required
get
is
that
pretty
concept.
insane.
I don't want to talk about it. Like, it's what we do.
Yeah.
I love what I do. I am proud of what I do. So I will talk in detail about it and be proud of what I've done. I'm proud of what I've done.
I am too, and obviously I'm here talking about it, so I guess I'm more on your side. But,
Fucking right. Yeah, exactly.
but you know, some people just have a certain set of, like, I guess, values and morals that they want to stick to, and like,
Then maybe they should
they
do
just
something
believe it.
else. I mean, if your morals contradict or don't align with what you're doing, then maybe you should do something else. Maybe this is not for you.
maybe so. I think it's a little bit more. I think it's a little bit more from judgment, though. from other people's values and morals. I think
Maybe that's a cultural
right.
thing, because like bodybuilding is very respected and huge in the Middle East.
Yeah, it seems like that.
Yeah.
It seems bodybuilding's a little bit weird in the US, especially these days. Yeah. There's like so many fights between natty and not natty now, and it's just kind of like, why is this still?
I don't know.
Why is this like such a discussion? I don't really understand it.
I think all sports should be on gear.
Did you listen to the new podcast with Joe Rogan and Enhanced Games?
No.
You should check that out. It's interesting. Have you heard of the Enhanced Games?
Wait, is that the Olympics where everyone's on juice?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, it sounds interesting.
That's amazing. I think
sounds crazy.
I think everyone, like it's that's how it should be. Mm-hmm. If I'm paying $1,000 for nice basketball tickets, I want to see the motherfucker fly halfway across the stadium.
Yeah.
I want to see some crazy shit.
Right.
You know? So put all these athletes on juice and let's see what happens.
That'd be insane.
Yeah.
Watch like hardly anything actually change.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fuck.
Because they're already on anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. So what would you say that your calories were through the course of those 5 years? How did your calories change and what did they go up to?
Off season, I think my calories were always in. So I'd never go under 300 grams of protein a day.
Okay.
So what I was a little bit inconsistent with was my carbs. I think the most significant gains I made was when I actually started to really take care of my macros and calories. And the biggest gains I made was when in 2020 and right before COVID. And I think I was on maybe 5,000 calories a day in the off season. Yeah, 4,800, I think. I remember my diet plan, 4,800 calories. In the off season, on the cheat days, maybe it would go up a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And then when we started dieting, it went down to maybe 3,800 and slowly to 3,000. And then maybe even down to like 2,700.
Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much did you weigh at that time?
My peak weight was close to 240.
Damn, bro.
238.
And how tall are you?
I lie and say 5'7", but I'm really 5'6".
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, maybe I'm lying about my height. I look like I felt like I was only an inch taller than you. And
what do you say you are?
well, when I go to the doctor, they say I'm 5'7.5". So instead of just saying 5'7.5", I just told people 5'8".
5'8"?
But
Yeah. So maybe I'm 5'6" and a half, and then
my class that I competed in was like up to, what was it? It was like 5'7" to 5'8". I don't remember what the whole up to thing is, but so I feel like that means that's right? Like I have to be 5'7.5", but
maybe I don't know. But I think I'm 5'6" and a half.
5'4". You're 5'6" and a half.
Yeah, 5'6".
Okay. Damn, bro, 240 at 5'6" and a half is crazy.
Massive.
Fucking sick.
No neck, just traps straight from my ears.
Damn, how did you feel?
I loved it. I mean, people always ask me like, "Oh, do you feel uncomfortable?" Like, not really.
Yeah.
It's just part of you. You just feel like fucking really strong, you know?
Yeah.
Like fucking, you know?
What about like breathing? Do you ever have sleep apnea?
So, yeah, I did. I developed sleep apnea. I have a machine. Mm-hmm. I still use it. So that's one of the downsides. The other thing was my breathing. Yeah. So whenever I did videos, all the comments were, "Why are you breathing like that?" And it was always like, "Hey guys, so today I'm gonna be talking about my diet." It was always like that, heavy breathing. But that's I think that's everyone's like that. Mm-hmm. At that size.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think even Sam Sulek's already like that.
I mean I know of Sam Sulek. I've watched a couple of his videos, but I'm not up to date. I know he left his supplement company.
Yeah, I saw that with Greg Doucette's videos.
Yeah.
What were we talking about with Greg earlier?
When?
I think it was like right before the podcast. We were discussing Greg. Something about...
Oh, yeah. So we were talking about YouTube. and how difficult it is to like build a channel. And
Oh, yeah,
sometimes the algorithm, if you're inconsistent, the algorithm really fucks you up. And like Greg's a good friend of mine, and I actually look up to him in a lot of ways, like especially how he works, his YouTube and all that, his consistency, and even his discipline in other things like his cycling. You know, the cycling that he does.
Yeah, the actual bike cycling.
Yeah, like I love how very like consistent he is when he does something.
He was at Zoo like, what was it, like 4 or 5 weeks ago to do a video with Eric. They were doing the Jubilee video or something.
I don't watch a lot of stuff, but I watch a lot of his stories on Instagram.
Right.
And so when we went out, he was in Montreal, and we go out sometimes. And I've asked him like, how do you do 2 videos a day? How do you do? Who films 2 videos a day? And I've once experimented where I was like, okay, you know, I got to do something crazy like that. Like I'm gonna put out a video every day, and I was able to sustain it for like 6 weeks, every day 1 video. Damn. And it was tormenting. Like the hardest part is finding the content.
Yeah.
So I asked Greg, I'm like, 2 videos a day, how? So the first thing he does, he wakes up very early in the morning, he has his breakfast. When he has his breakfast, he basically watches other YouTube videos for like 2 hours.
Wow.
And then he finds the content. And then he sends the content to his team. And then they create a script.
Whoa.
And then they give the script to him. And then when he films, he has that little tablet in front of him. And basically all he does is he has to just read off the script. And then they edit the video. Like
doesn't he look at the screen though, at the fucking camera?
He does. So
he just memorizes it and then says it in his own words.
Exactly. And I've seen a lot of his bloopers where he has like, it's not even, what's very impressive about Greg is that it's not easy for him to do. Greg has a very hard time memorizing.
Me too, dude.
Really?
It's just hard. Yeah.
I've seen a clip with the bloopers, and he'd like repeat something like 13 times over until he gets it right. But the level of consistency, honestly, I've never seen someone with that level of dedication when it comes to like YouTube and work and shit. Mental.
That's insanity.
It is. He deserves all the success he has, to be honest. I know a lot of people in the industry, and I know how much they work and how much they put in. Greg is one of those people that puts in a lot of work.
Yeah, it makes sense. When he was telling me about his like entire team and everything, like when I had the podcast with him and we were going through his team and his management in the first place, like we were scheduling everything through them. I didn't talk to him until we actually started getting on like a call. So like, honestly, that just impresses me because alone I've been having issues just outsourcing jobs to people. Like there's just things that I feel like it's like hard for me to let go of that like I want to do. For example, like if I edit like you know, I'll have the podcast edited because that's simple, right? There's no like artistry really needed to edit a podcast. But if I'm doing something that's like part of my vlog or with like a workout montage or something, like there's fucking nobody that really gets it. Like,
I mean, there is, but you have to pay, and it gets expensive. And even when I spoke to Greg about that, like he pays well, so that's why they stay.
Makes sense.
And he finds people that are good at what they do, pays them accordingly, and pays them what they want, and they stay. So he has a whole infrastructure that's set up. And it's like it's a machine.
You need to take some notes. You need to have this moving.
Bro, I remember Greg when he was doing YouTube videos in some condo or room that he was in. And I remember at the time a lot of people were hating on the guy. Greg used to get so much hate in Canada. And I just love how he's like fucking crushing it now. I love these stories where someone starts off struggling and everyone kind of makes fun of, and then look at him now, you know.
You're saying he was getting a lot of hate before he even like blew up and really hit
yeah.
You know what for?
What for? No, I'm not sure. Or maybe I do, but I'm not, you know, I don't want to talk about his personal stuff. But honestly, when I first met Greg, and I was like kind of an outsider. Like I wasn't raised in Canada. So I'm not really raised in the Western fitness industry. So even a lot of the gossip and the back and forth that I see between people, I have no idea what's going on. So when I usually meet people, that's when I make my judgment. And when I met Greg for the first time, I was like, this is a really nice guy. I don't get what's the problem. And then I kind of maybe learned that maybe just people are just jealous. I used to get that hate when I started my YouTube. And I realized that a lot of people hate on you, even if you're not successful.
Yeah, no matter what.
Even if you're not successful yet, they hate on you because you're doing something they wish they can do as well. So let's say Greg, or me or anyone, either one of us, we start a YouTube channel, we're going on YouTube, we're doing these podcasts. And let's say even though we're not getting a lot of views, there is someone watching you who really wants to do exactly what you're doing, but doesn't have the courage to go on camera and start talking the way we're talking. And then they start hating. Like, oh, look at this guy. He's a fucking loser. No views. And I think that's what it is.
I think that, or somebody who is doing something like you're doing, or maybe say doing a bodybuilding journey like you're doing, but not performing as well, or not getting the, I guess.
So I was in that situation with my YouTube at a certain point. And there are two types of people. You're either going to hate and try and take down the person who is in the same genre or niche as you, or you fucking just go ask them, hey, what are you doing that's working? And that's exactly, I literally, when Greg was in Montreal, I texted him, took him out to dinner. I was like, bro, teach me, what are you doing for your YouTube channel? And then he taught me on his work systems and the employees and going on the content and finding a script. And then I did that. I went home. I called a few people in Egypt, hired them. And I'm like, listen, from starting next week, I want you to find content for me. Send it to this guy. He's going to create the script. The script is going to be a summary. I'm going to read it. I'm going to film it. And I'm going to send it back to you to edit it. And that's what I do now. And that's why I work a lot less than I used to.
Do you guys teach these people how to like create these scripts in a way where it's like your personality and your words or things that you would say?
No, because you end up saying it the way you want to say it.
Okay.
So you don't have to read the script exactly off it is.
Gotcha. I see.
It's just basically the information. Like, let's say I want to do a video on SARMs, any SARM, RAD, whatever. I know what it does, but I don't know the intricate details, or I don't have it memorized. So my guy will just give me the pinpoints. Like, this is how it works in the body. These are the side effects. And when you go on camera, even if you know the stuff, it's hard to kind of like bring it back up to your head. Yeah. Because like you're in front of the camera and, Right. But when it's like right there, you just like you have a tablet there and you just read off of it. And then you look at the screen and you say it and then they just cut it up. Right. Yeah. And then you say it the way you want to say it. And I learned that from Greg because I asked him. Instead of hating, I was like, hey, how are you doing this? Right. Sometimes I wonder how. I feel like Derek's a little bit of a different case. Sometimes I wonder if he's just been doing the videos for so long and doing research to create the videos for so long that he just memorized all the information as he was doing the research himself. Maybe at first he was doing that. Before he made money, before he has his team, I think that's what he was doing. And also, like, we're all still very knowledgeable. So I think it starts out like that. And then after that, you just get a team and they get whatever for you. If you feel like any of the medications that we spoke about today may benefit you, such as BPC 157, GH secretagogues such as Tesamorelin, IGF-1, oxandrolone troche, Semaglutide, then you can obtain these from Transcend HRT, and the link for that will be in the bio. If you feel like you're experiencing symptoms of low testosterone, such as depression, anxiety, lack of motivation, as well as lack of sex drive, then you can get this checked out as well by getting your blood work done at Transcend, and they will provide you expert medical analysis. Transcend HRT has worked with many professional bodybuilders and pro athletes, such as Thor Bjornsson, Phil Heath, and Jeremy Buendia. And if you feel like this podcast has any relevancy to you, I do believe that this clinic will provide of great benefit to you as well. So you've been bodybuilding for like forever. What do you think? It's kind of a hard thing, and it's a hard question for me to ask, of course, but just out of curiosity, because there's a lot of factors. What do you feel like was the like single biggest contributor to like your building your size? Test. Yeah. Straight up, just test. Test and growth hormone.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course. I mean, we can put a picture of what I look like naturally at my max, and we'll get to see it. And
How long were you lifting naturally before you started?
4 or 5 years. 5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
Do you feel like you would have grown a lot bigger if you, say, like...
Started sooner?
Started sooner, or were natural for 10 years before you started?
Natural for 10 years. It's a waste of time. What are you doing? Why? Just why?
Oh, shit.
You know, you want to compete in your 30s. Late 20s, that's when you're, prime. That's when you're feeling good. When your energy levels are high. When your organs are like, all right, guys, let's do this. When you get into your mid-30s, everything starts to slow down.
Shit, okay.
Yeah. You know what? In fact, I remember when I won the University Nationals, I cycled out of bar for 6 weeks. I regret not starting my cycle that year. So I waited another year, and then I started my off-season, my test cycle.
Like your first injectable?
Yeah. That was my regret. What's your regret? Not starting sooner. And I remember because it was Egypt and cheaper, I had a fucking big box of pharmaceutical growth hormone and testosterone propionate. And I knew, it was just, mint, perfect. And then I changed my mind. I was like, nah, I'm going to give it another year because, I want to stay natural and healthy. But I'm not an idiot. I probably would have turned pro sooner.
Yeah.
Had I done that cycle.
What do you have to say for, I guess, one of the concerns that I have is whenever I have discussions like this is enticing younger kids to start steroids. And especially also enticing them to start it earlier.
No. I mean, have you seen our generation? We could use more tests. Okay, I'm gonna go to jail. I think, give everyone tests. I think people need more tests. Look at us. Look at the generation we're in. We're offended by everything. We cannot have, no one wants to work. No one wants to go to work. No one wants to do anything anymore. And coincidentally, testosterone levels have gone lower by almost 50%.
Yeah.
So you have a situation of low test and a generation of people that don't do shit. As an engineer to a fellow engineer, when you have a problem and you can see what's, coincidentally going alongside with that problem, so less productivity, less men, a lot more men are less masculine, women are taking on the masculine roles, no motivation, everyone wants to just play video games, no one wants to work, no one wants to work hard in life, and test levels are going low. Solution, more tests. Give tests to people. I hope I don't lose my sponsors. I mean, but again, you're talking to someone, and I think this makes a difference. You're talking to someone from a third world country. I was born and raised in Egypt, and because of bodybuilding, I have the life that I live now.
Right.
I'm very blessed because of bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling people, test is going to get you there.
Right. Because most of the time it's not.
I never partied. Never partied during my bodybuilding years, as an amateur or a pro. It wasn't like, it's a weekend, let me celebrate. No, I will not celebrate until I am an Olympian competitor. In fact, I never went to watch, I moved to Canada in 2011. I've never went to watch the Olympia live because I told myself the day I'm going to Vegas is the day that I'm going to compete there. And I did that. And I'll never forget, there were these videos of Jay Cutler against Ronnie Coleman back in 2005 when Jay had those DVDs. And he'd walk through these halls to the Olympia backstage. And the wall was aluminum. It was like there was an aluminum layer on top, or like an aluminum wallpaper, something like that. And I watched that, right? And I remember going to it when I went to Vegas. And, a lot of my my fans were out there, a lot of the Egyptians, and I had my bag and stuff, and I had my team with me. And the security tells me, this way, as I arrive to the building, I push through the door, and I go in the building, and then there's also like a line and everything, and the athletes go that way. And the security tells me to go that way. They push through these doors, and it's the same hallway that Jay Cutler was walking in. And I immediately start crying. Like, I'm here. Now I can party after. Now I can celebrate. So when I tell people, test is amazing. It's the best thing ever created. Like, even as children, when we watched comics, you'd see the villain with the syringe, and he shoots himself with something and he becomes superhuman. Well, someone did that in a vial. It's called testosterone. That's the real life stuff.
Yeah.
But
you want Captain America.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're gonna go down that path, it's black or white. You either have to be super dedicated, and you have to have a vision, long-term vision, and you have to be very diligent, and you have to have purpose. Like, also, why are you doing this?
Right.
So
we're prefacing that this is coming from obviously an Olympian. So your goals are different than a drastic amount of people viewing it.
Probably so.
Like, not everyone,
but even then, like, honestly, aside from using testosterone for my bodybuilding purposes, now that I don't compete anymore, I still say that I love testosterone. I love how I feel on it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I agree with it.
Fucking jack the shit.
Just fucking feel amazing.
Yeah, feel amazing.
So I feel like how you should.
Exactly. How you should. High sex drive, high energy, strong at the gym. Everything that has to do with being a man.
Right.
So that's that. That's how I feel about that.
Yeah. I think the one place that I would draw a difference in, and also the sake of playing devil's advocate, is test versus just steroids in general. Like, I think test is amazing. And
king. Test is king.
Yeah. I think test, like, it can have a lot of support for a reason that someone should go and test, especially if they are experiencing some symptoms of bloatiness.
Exactly.
But I think the circumstances are different when it comes to, say, like, just a teenager who just wants to jump on steroids because they want to get fucking huge. It's like, what are your goals and what are you doing this for?
So if it's a teenager, the test is already in their body. They just have to produce it. And they have to do what they have to do to produce it. Eat a lot of red meat. Go to the gym. Just live a healthy lifestyle. But the problem with most teenagers now, what are they doing all day? They're watching porn all day. They're eating junk food. And they're sleeping at 4 o'clock in the morning. And their goals is, I don't know what, beach club, fucking, every weekend. No shit, your testosterone was low, dude. When I was a teenager, again, same vision. Like, I was watching all these bodybuilders. I wanted to look like them. Fucking wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, sleep early, get that full natural hormonal cycle from my sleep, eat a lot of red meat, cardio, lifting 5 times a week, 6 times a week. My testosterone was still high. I was still making significant gains as a teenager. The hormones are there, but if you're eating fucking junk food and processed foods and foods that are designed to lower your testosterone, what do you expect? People want the result, but they don't want to do what they have to do to get the results.
What would you say is the hardest experience that you had while you were competing as a bodybuilder?
Oof, that's a tough one, man. Not spending time with my kids,
not spending time with my family. And it's a hard argument, because on one hand, for so many years, everything was left on my girl, the kids, while I was building my career. But then you can argue, well, I was doing what every man is supposed to do, which is create a good life. So I think that was the hardest part, being selfish. And you can get judged both ways on that.
I think that's a very hard place for men in general. It's a place that I hold close to my heart too, and it's just hard to find that balance when you're someone that's working really hard.
There is no balance.
But then you also want to spend time with them.
There is no balance. To get to Olympia level, there is no balance. At least at first. At least at first. You will have to go through a period of time where there is no balance at all. Moderation in life is a vice, but moderation in bodybuilding is failure. That was from Dorian Yates. Yeah. So you're going to have to go through a phase in life where you're going to have to sacrifice everything.
How would you feel that your bodybuilding journey specifically affected your relationships?
Not the best way. Probably not the best way. Not in a good way. Absolutely not. The selfishness that comes with preps. I think it got better as I got older, but I think as you get older and you spend a lot of time with a person, initially sometimes the damage is already kind of done. And it's sometimes in relationships, it's because a relationship is like a white piece of paper. Once it's stained, it's stained. You can't remove the stains.
Yeah.
And there's a certain level or a certain point where when the white paper is stained enough, then the relationship is done. It's just a matter of time, but it's done. You cannot bleach the paper again. So I think initially, in the initial years of building myself, the white paper took a lot of stains. And it was very difficult to wash that as I got older. Because don't forget, I mean, when you're also young and you have that drive, and I had kids young too, nothing matters when in your mind except your career. Especially if you're struggling financially, it's a rough combination. Rough combination, not only just because you want to be successful, but also rough combination as a man being insecure and you lack confidence. When you're struggling financially, you're not a confident man. And if you haven't achieved anything in your career, you're not a confident man. You only gain confidence through the achievements that you make in life. That, I think, is the best way to feel good about yourself. That is the only way you can feel good about yourself, is by accomplishing things, conquering hard tasks. That is the best way for a man to test himself. Conquering hard tasks. And for me, I consider myself amongst the Egyptians genetically average. Yeah, I know here, crazy, very good genetics, but compared to Egyptians, I was genetically average. And for me to be one of the very few out of them to reach the Olympia stage, that was a big task that I had to conquer. And when you're young, it's all you see. The family values and the love for your children and realizing all these important things start to kick in your 30s as a male. That's what I feel.
So you feel like all these realizations, these things that these, like, I guess, slight changes in value kicked in for you in your 30s.
Yeah, I think so. But that's hypocritical, right? Because they started kicking in after I made a lot of money. So it's like, oh, really? It's like when someone has a lot of money and then goes, money's not everything. Well, no shit. Of course it's not everything because you have a lot of money.
Right.
But when you didn't have money was everything. And so that's why I don't like it. It's a sensitive topic, and I don't want to be a hypocrite to myself by saying these values kicked in my 30s. They did kick in my 30s, but they probably kicked in because I finally achieved what I wanted to achieve.
Right.
Which goes back to the emphasis of selfishness. Like, I'm aware that there is some definite selfishness there. Because it's like now that I've done what I want, now that I have the life I want, I live where I want, I drive the cars I want. It's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, should have been better, Well, where was that 5-10 years ago? Well, 5-10 years ago, I wanted the life that I have now.
Yeah. Right.
Very paradoxical. It's a tough question. But I'm being very, very, very open about it. Like trying to look at it from a third person point of view and not trying to make myself look good.
I've noticed it's, I think it really obviously it varies per person based off of like where they are in life, and probably their surroundings, what they see, what they want, and their goals. And these are all probably related to just what they see regularly. Like, I feel like someone who lives in the middle of nowhere in Indiana is probably not going to have, they're obviously going to have a very different time span than
100%.
someone like me.
100%.
And I've noticed my time span seems to be kicking into the place where I am finally thinking about like how I do want a family at some point, and how that's something of value to me. So the things that I did 3 years ago would not serve me now. Obviously, that's going to take a lot of time, but I know that, for example, something like a family takes investment. Something like a relationship takes investment, of course, too. So if I don't even care to like look for it at this point in time, then how late is it going to start? And then how long is it going to take to invest in that relationship? And then that's a family.
So I think for men, luckily, I don't think you have a time limit.
Yeah.
You can have kids whenever you want. And it's more important that you find the right partner to have to have children with, the right partner. Men, I don't think men are afraid of marriage and kids. I think men are afraid of marriage and kids with the wrong partner.
Oh yeah.
That's what we're afraid of.
Yeah.
The first thing, when a man is successful and has money, the first thing he thinks of, all right, I'm ready to start a family. But unfortunately with women, when they make money, the first thing they say is, I don't need a man. So there's a big difference in mentality there. Men generally actually want families, and they want to marry, and they want to have kids. But the problem is we're at an age where we are petrified of choosing the wrong partner. And it's very difficult to know if you have the right partner from the get-go, because it takes years and years of actually knowing a person. And when you have kids, you are stuck with that decision for the rest of your life.
It's fucking scary, bro.
Dropping some wisdom here, man.
Oh, shit. In past relationships, I'd always have like, I feel like they would always be asking like, how come you're not committing yet or whatever? And I'm just like, bro, like, these are like big ass decisions. These are lifelong decisions. Like, do you not think like maybe it'll take a little bit more time? Do you not think that maybe like even half a year in, even a year in, we still don't completely know each other?
Oh, so, I'm a slow guy, bro.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Like for me to know a person, like let's say for me to move in with someone, I need a good 4 years. And then give it a shot. And then another 3-4 years of living with the person. Then I can decide, okay, yeah, I guess we can spend the rest of our lives together.
I'm kind of nervous even moving in with somebody, bro.
Especially like, after you've lived alone for a while.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult adjustment to make.
Yeah, it's difficult. Like, I'm somebody who needs my space and time. I need to fucking meditate alone sometimes. Like, I just need to be alone sometimes. So
you need a big house.
Yeah.
Big house.
I know some people do like separate bedrooms.
I've heard of that.
It sounds enticing for me, but
I like cuddling. Yeah.
I do too. But just not every night, or just not all.
But I have my dogs. So,
okay.
Yeah. I sleep with them in bed. They're it's a little Shih Tzu and a Pekingese.
Oh, no way. That's fucking sick, bro. I had a Pekingese when I was a kid. That was our dog.
They're amazing, aren't they?
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, they're very affectionate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think at my age, those are enough, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if I live with someone, I don't think I'd do the split bedroom thing. I don't have problems sleeping. As long as the bed's big enough. I do split covers. So everyone has their blanket. Everyone has their blanket. We're not sharing blankets.
Really?
Of course. Because I need the blanket to go like, between my leg and stuff. And when I turn, sometimes I want to,
But I think you're just too big.
That too. Yeah. So I need a king bed, 2 blankets, and we're good. You have your own section. I got my own section.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Taking some notes for myself. Experimenting for the future. I just out of curiosity, this is a question for myself, but when you said that women, when they make money, they first say that they don't need a man.
Yeah.
I feel like there are many, many, many cases where that's true. In fact, probably most.
Most, yeah.
I do have a friend though who is she's very wealthy, and she like fell in love with one of my friends, and now they're together, and she makes bank. for sure. And she's just obsessed with him, and it's pretty cool. The dynamic is very different. Like he's still a man, but she makes the most money. He still acts as a man does, but she makes the most money. It's very interesting.
Yeah, but I mean those you'll always find these strange scenarios. Those are exceptions. That's not the base. That's not the normal. So I can find you a much different example. I can find you an example where it's a woman who has a lot of money, who finds a local man that works at a butcher shop, and she marries him and she's in love with him. And she tells him, you can, be in an open relationship on your side, but I'll be, I'll not have that on my side. Like these are all exceptions that we don't see. So you'll find all kinds of exceptions in life. But what we tend to judge or look at is the majority. What's the majority? What's the most thing that's happening? It's that when most women end up making or end up having a big successful career for themselves, the first thing they say is they don't need a man. And it only kicks in their later years where it's like, fuck, I do need a man. And that money was like, yeah, I can take care of myself. Yeah, the purses are nice, the vacations are nice, but I'd rather have a long life companion.
Right. Yeah.
It's always like that. Yeah. And I'm not saying that for kids. I'm saying for companionship. Yeah. Because kids, that's a completely different ballgame in today's world, I think.
Yeah. Why do you feel like kids are so crazy in today's world? Having kids is so crazy in today's world.
Technology. I think, how old are you?
I am in my late 20s.
Okay. Maybe you were at the border, but I can say that I was the last of my generation to play outside. We didn't have the technology that glued us inside our homes.
I did play outside, but when we did start getting video games, my parents didn't really let me play much of it. So that's also probably part of the reason.
Yeah, that too. So now everything is on tablets and screens. And children are just getting weird. Because like you have this device that has everything. Remember, I don't know about you, but when I was a teenager, do you know how difficult was it to watch inappropriate stuff on the internet? It was not easy to get a hold of. Especially when third world country where internet sucked. We had to deal with our friends' dads who brought in magazines from the States. And we'd have to like steal them or look at them. Or we'd have to deal with JPEG images that would take 3 minutes to load on the computer. Now on your phone, you have access to any celebrity in any movie scene or as much pornography as you want. Like that.
Yeah.
It's a disaster.
It's crazy.
It's a disaster, bro. And it's not just porno. Like that's the least of your worries with what's on the internet. It's the influence as well of all the content that's out there. Even Disney movies, bro. Like the shit that they push is bizarre. It's so weird. Like back then, the cartoons that we watched was fucking Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, Superman, Batman, everything that entailed men to be strong, responsible, independent, taking care of your loved ones. Dragon Ball, obviously the king of all this. Fucking Goku was like dad growing up.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? And now you look at cartoons and I just watch with them. I'm like, what the fuck are you watching? What is this? So I think that's what's making having children very difficult. It's like, good luck trying to raise them.
What is it about Disney movies? Like, what are they pushing?
I can talk about that on my Arabic YouTube channel. But I mean, they're just pushing things that I guess, yeah, I can't answer that. No.
Okay.
If you know, you know. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. I fucking love though that they just have Chi-Chi with her fucking raging hormones and she'd always just fucking
yeah, exactly. That was the best.
Like still protecting the family and being a fucking man and a sick cunt, but damn, bro. Sometimes these women, sometimes I just don't know what to say. I was mainly ask you in regards to YouTube actually. Why do you feel like Wesly won over Ramon?
Structure, man. He looks like an Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, that's classic. And sometimes it's like you look at a physique and it's perfect. And then a physique comes along and then it reminds you, oh, that's what classic should look like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone expected Chris Bumstead when he was competing early on in the years to ever be Mr. Olympia. And then one day he shows and it's like, oh, this is what classic should look like.
There was definitely a lot of potential following him, though. People were just like, oh, this guy's going to be big. Like, we don't know where he's going to place, but we want him to place well. I do remember that.
For Wesly?
I was thinking that too. Huh?
For Wesly?
No, for Sebum. Like,
Okay.
I remember watching, I was actually following Sebum when he was like competing in men's physique and stuff. And I'm like, this guy looks fucking crazy. His shoulders are huge. Then he went into classic. And I just remember the hype and his follower count and audience just growing substantially.
I think Chris is the most,
And then finally
he is the most popular bodybuilder in the world right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I feel like we could argue he was the most popular bodybuilder ever to live, aside from, if you don't count Arnold
Schwarzenegger?
an actor.
Yes, that's true. I agree with that statement. Him and Ronnie Coleman. Ronnie Coleman too. Like, when we're talking worldwide, Ronnie Coleman. Everyone knows Ronnie Coleman. But I think in today's world, Chris is the most well-known bodybuilder right now on the planet. And in terms of why, so what I think about Ramon, so Ramon has more of a bodybuilder's physique, not a classic physique. I find like he has round muscle bellies.
Incredibly round.
Incredibly round. The shoulders, the arms, the forearms.
It's like the fucking Michelin Man.
Exactly. Very bubbly like, very 3D like. And you look at Wesly, it's not round and bubbly at all. He's wide, muscle is there, but like it's a different look.
It's a different shape.
Different shape.
High bicep peaks.
Exactly.
Fucking those lats that are just rounded.
Exactly. It doesn't like, you would probably want to look like Ramon, but Wesly would beat you in classic. Like, Ramon has a physique that everyone would want to look like.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I want to look like Ramon.
I want to look like Ramon.
Yeah.
Like the big forearms, tiny ass waist, everything is so round, you know? But then you look at Wesly, it's like his physique is not that like, I don't want to look like that very much. But that's classic. That's how classic should look like. Guy looks like very similar to Arnold Schwarzenegger. And that's how he won. He beat Ramon. And I think once Chris retires, I think Wesly could be Mr. Olympia.
Wow, really?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like Wesly needs to work on his legs.
Easy work.
You think so?
Yeah. At that level, nothing. When you see Wesly's improvements in the last couple of years, you can make the judgment that anything he needs to improve, he can improve. So you always look at the last like 2-3 years, how well has he gone up? I would have never thought Wesly would win the Arnold Classic. I don't think anyone did. But then he shows up way better improved. If anything, I would actually argue, I think he needs to bring his back more.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. His back.
I did see the comparisons with his back, especially
His
versus
back,
Sebum.
his back from the backside, not from the front. So when he does the front double bicep,
Yeah, his lats are great.
his lats are nice. They have that, you know, kind of like a cobra shape coming in. But from the back, I think it just needs a little bit more work.
There seemed to be a little bit less depth, especially when you compared it obviously to Sebum. But I mean, that,
No one's, I don't think anyone's
course.
beating Sebum. Sebum is beating Sebum.
yeah.
And so he's going to be done when he decides he doesn't want to compete anymore.
So you think the reason that Wesly won this time versus all the other times where Ramon beat him is purely because of Wesley's improvements?
Was his improvements and
Maybe
shape?
something in conditioning or something in, I don't know.
Wesley, Ramon was a little bit off. A tiny bit off. And Wesly was harder. But I think even if Ramon was hard, I still think Wesly would have won because Wesly looks more like a classic division bodybuilder. At the end of the day, you have to set the standard of what you're competing for.
Right.
What division is this?
Yep.
Is this open bodybuilding? Is this bodybuilding with weight limits? No, it's classic. Means there's a look for it. If it was, if Ramon would have just beaten Wesly, even if he was like hard on dry, then we shouldn't name it classic. We should just name it, just bodybuilding with weight classes. But because it's classic, then there is a certain shape that the judges are looking for. And I personally think that Wesly is more of a classic bodybuilder than Ramon.
Okay. That makes sense. You do got those vintage genetics.
Yeah.
Do you happen to have any predictions for this year's Olympia?
In classic? Oof. I think the top 4 are Sebum, Wesly, and I wouldn't be surprised if Miracle Bear beats Ramon.
Really?
He's improving so much, bro.
He does improve quickly each year. He improves drastically.
Have you seen his last off-season pics? His guest posing recently?
Oh, I saw a little bit of a guest posing.
It was guest posing with Ramon.
Right. But I feel like it's just so hard to tell.
It's hard to tell, but I mean, the way he improves, and again, he looks more classic. Ramon looks like a bodybuilder. Ramon looks like he needs 50 pounds and competes in open.
Damn.
The arms, the shoulders, the roundness.
The roundness is crazy. But it's just such an aesthetic shape.
I know, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful aesthetic shape.
Yeah.
Fucking like
Would you rather look like Chris Bumstead or Ramon, physique wise?
Do I gotta say this on this podcast?
Yeah. Who would you rather have the physique?
Fuck, dude.
Sebum or Ramon?
So
excluding the success that comes with whichever.
All right.
I'm just talking, you're a random dude who goes to the gym. Do you want to look like Ramon or do you want to look like Sebum?
I'm saying this with the knowledge that people are going to judge, so I'm just being transparent with you guys. But in this context, I feel like, obviously I'm nowhere even remotely close, but if I look at the shape of my physique currently, whenever I do my poses, it looks a little bit more like Sebum's. But Ramon, I have him as a picture on the background of my phone.
There you go. So the answer is Ramon.
Yeah.
Every guy I know, bro, wants to look like Ramon in terms of physique. But his physique is not the 100% classic physique look.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool. We have a Q&A soon if you want to go to the Q&A. There's just like a few questions that some people asked.
Let's do that.
The stories we posted. But before I ask that though, what do you think was the craziest prep that you've ever had?
2012 Canadian Nationals.
Okay.
The desperate one. The either I die or I'm going to win this.
That's the one where you thought it was your biggest cycle ever.
Yeah.
That was one of the Q&As. That was kind of one of the Q&A questions. So I kind of do want to ask it now. You obviously don't have to answer this because it's a pretty transparent and touchy subject. But would you talk about like what was the cycle looking like?
Yeah.
That was so drastic.
Yeah, I don't care. So I was on, I think it's hard to remember though, because it was so long ago.
Yeah, of course.
But I remember I was over 1,000 milligrams of test, and it was test propionate, not enanthate. So that means there's more bioavailability in the blood.
Right.
I was on 600 milligrams of EQ. I was on 600 milligrams of Deca, and that was my off season. And then I finally, when I started prep, I kept the EQ. I switched the Deca to Winstrol, and I was taking injectables 100 milligrams every other day. So it was around, on average, 350 milligrams a week. As I got to 10 weeks out, I stopped the EQ. I added Trenbolone acetate at 400 milligrams a week and Masterone at 400 milligrams a week. So I was on 1,000 test, 400 Tren ACE, 400 Masterone, 350 Winstrol. I was on Clenbuterol.
350 Winstrol.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
A week. I was on...
a week.
A week. Yeah. So it was a 50 a day on average. Right. And I was on T3, 50 mcgs a day. And then I was on Clenbuterol. I was doing 2 days on, 2 days off, around 80 mcgs. And I couldn't afford growth hormone at the time. So I think I was like doing 5 units of like underground growth hormone a day.
Okay.
Yeah. I was also taking Aromacin every day as well.
What would you consider 5 units as far as like dosage? Would you consider that like low or average for someone?
Depends, pharmaceutical or pharmaceutical or underground. There's a big difference.
There is a big difference.
There is a big difference.
What would you say is the equivalent in your experience?
So probably 2 to 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
That big.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Because I've used the Norditrope pens, like actually from the pharmacy. And yeah, 3 units a day. 3 units a day will do what 5 units of underground a day would do.
Wow.
So it's not really 2 to 1, but a little bit less than that.
I see.
But yeah.
I'm always interested at the dosages that various bodybuilders take. Like I'm always interested in the dosages of GH. That classic is taking versus open.
So again, bodybuilders lie. So when I did the Olympia, I went up to 10 units of GH a day.
Damn.
But here's a funny part. I didn't notice much of a difference in terms of muscular size.
Yeah.
What I did notice was that my waist did get bigger.
It did get bigger.
My waist did get bigger. On 10 units.
I'm so glad that you're saying this because you were the first thing. You're like, I think the first person I've ever had physically confirm that for me. That's like a suspicion I've had for like 5 years plus.
So it was after Vancouver Pro. Mm-hmm. Olympia was like in 12 weeks. We upped the dose of, I was taking 5 or 6 units of growth hormone pharmaceutical a day. Mm-hmm. And then we upped it to 10. Actually, I just remembered after 10, we pushed it up to 12 too. And then we showed the same front double bicep picture to one of the judges. And then the first thing the judge said was, his waist has gotten bigger since Vancouver Pro. Mm. And then when I looked at the pictures, I confirmed it. Mm-hmm. And I looked, I was like, yeah, what the fuck? My waist did get bigger and everything else is kind of the same. There's something that also people should know. So growth hormone at high doses and low doses for some people too, because it's genetic, right?
Yeah.
That's something that everyone should know when it comes to test. Although I'm a big supporter of testosterone, mm-hmm. but it also depends on how lucky you are. So not everyone will react to test the same way. Same way, not everyone will react to growth hormone the same way. So one of the things that growth hormone does is it will enlarge your left ventricle of your heart, your left walls. Mm-hmm. And it will cause something called cardiomyopathy.
Yep.
And when you do an electrocardiogram, and when you do the ultrasound and they check the thickness of your walls. So when I did that after the Olympia, my walls were actually 0.5, were at 4 millimeters over than what they should be normally. Mm-hmm. Or maybe 1 point, I can't remember the number, but I was like, the doctor warned me, he said, your heart can't grow any more than that. He's like, right now, it's like, yeah, you're an 18-wheeler truck and you have mm-hmm. an engine that fits mm-hmm. it, but the engine is growing a little bit out of proportion. And that was on 12 units of growth hormone. Mm-hmm. When I stopped and I reduced it to 4 or 5, and I redid the same test again 6 months later, the heart did shrink.
How much?
To the necessary levels. I can't
wow.
remember. I can't remember the numbers exactly, but to the necessary levels.
Okay.
Like the doctor said, okay, we're good.
Down to 4. All right.
Yeah. So you guys got to be careful with growth hormone. Aside from the other side effects that we know, cardiomyopathy is a thing. Mm-hmm. And after you reach a certain point, you're fucked after that.
That's cool. That's another like actual distinctive experience that I think I haven't really heard. To be honest, no one really has any stories with like distinctive values given of like the growth of their organs taking a certain GH dosage. We all just know that it's a thing, but no one
that is something like I've seen like live happen, because I do these tests I'm super meticulous when it comes to health tests, and I'm a kind of a what's the word, what is it called? What is that guy who's always like paranoid about his health? There's a term.
I know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
Hypochondriac.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a hypochondriac. Is that the word?
If you're talking about someone that's like paranoid of having a bunch of diseases,
Yeah.
and stuff,
Yeah. So I do these tests all the time, and I've done them at 5 units of growth hormone. Then I've done them at 10 units of growth hormone. And at 10 units of growth hormone, the left ventricle of my heart has gone thicker. And then when I stopped and I reduced, it went down again.
How long were you doing the 10 units for?
About 10 weeks.
10 weeks only.
Yeah, 10 weeks only. Yeah.
10 weeks only, and you feel like that?
Yes.
Probably.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. 10 weeks of pharmaceutical growth hormone a day is not a joke.
Wow. Fucking insane. Okay. I have felt the difference between. I mean, obviously, I've only run 2 IUs every day, at least for this past year for bulking. But I had both pharmaceutical grade growth hormone and UGL, and I can feel the difference.
Yeah, there is a difference for sure.
It's weird. It's like the feeling is very subtle, but like you can really tell that like one of them is actually more substantially making an effect on your body.
The best way to know if the growth hormone is working or not is in the first 48 hours. Your hands. So if your hands feel the same after 48 hours, the growth hormone you're using is probably not doing shit. You have to feel a little bit like when you close your fists, especially when you wake up in the morning, after the second to fourth day of using growth hormone, you should feel a difference in your palm when you close it. It should be a little bit tight when you close your arms, when you do a fist. And that's water retention in your arms. And that's one of the side effects of growth hormone. And that's how I usually know that, it's working.
When do you feel like that is really, I mean, obviously it's going to differ per person, right? Genetics, but wouldn't you feel that it's more distinctive at a certain dosage?
I mean, around, I think over 3 pharmaceutical grade, you should feel that.
Okay.
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
At 2 IUs, especially towards the end of the bulk, obviously you could argue that I was also just getting bigger in general and fatter, but my left foot started not being able to fit in my shoe.
It started getting tight.
Widthwise, yeah.
Yeah, that happens too.
Yeah, and I already wear some shoes that are like W, right? Like it's like the wider shape or something. So yeah, and that was kind of troubling. Certain rings wouldn't fit as well. Then when I would come off the GH, the rings fit a little bit better. And then obviously losing the weight.
So that's the first thing that GH does, which is holding water at your extremities.
Yeah.
And you should feel that right away. And if you don't, like the first few days, like a slight difference, then probably your gear is bunk.
Do you feel like there's a good reason that, I guess obviously for your goals, this dosage and time would probably be necessary, especially with that being your biggest cycle, right? This just being the show you had to win. But running Tren for example, for like 10 weeks. Like
Tren is the worst drug ever.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing ever. And I stopped using it, I think after I turned pro.
Okay.
That was it for me.
Did you feel like there was a difference?
No.
In like stage?
So on the stage?
Yeah.
No.
No difference?
No.
Okay.
Not the stage.
So you don't feel like it's necessary then?
This is a hard question because I've used it, right? This is like the whole, is money important?
Right. But
no, money is not the most important thing because I have money. It's the same thing with it's the same thing with Trenbolone, right? I've used Tren in my initial years. I've made the size that I wanted to make, and then I stopped. Well, is it important? Well, now that I have the size, it's not important.
I mean, did you use Tren during a lot of bulking cycles? Or was it
never used Tren in bulking cycles.
So then technically it's not really what gave you the size. If you've been using it for preps and cutting down, you maintained your muscle mass for sure. It reduced the catabolism, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, the mass is really built in the off season.
Yes and no. For me, I built a lot of muscle during prep. I've used Tren. The first time I used Tren was before coming to Canada. When I was working as an engineer, I was in a different country. It wasn't Egypt. It was a country near Dubai, and I did a nationals show there, and I placed 4th. And I did Tren for 3 weeks, and then I stopped right away. The side effects were unbearable. Unbearable.
What was the dosage?
300 a week.
Okay.
Unbearable, bro. Couldn't sleep. Insomnia. Sweating like crazy. even heart palpitations, and I stopped that right away. 2012 Canadian Nationals, I started using it. The most thing that I've noticed was the sleeplessness. Horrible. Especially when you combine that with clenbuterol, the worst.
Yeah. What was your dosage at there?
With the Clen or the Tren?
Tren.
Tren, I told you, it was 400.
Yeah, I just forgot.
Yeah.
And then 80 for Clen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I used it again 2015. 8 weeks or 6 weeks even. I started going lesser and less. And then 2016 when I won the Legacy Cup was also probably 6 weeks. And then the year I turned pro, the last 8 weeks maybe, or 6 weeks. And then I never used it anymore. I'm not sure if my coach would probably know better if I used it in my first year as a pro. Maybe if I did, it was like at most 300 milligrams a week for 6 weeks before the first pro show of the season. But I remember very well after 2018, 2019 and 2020, I stopped using it. And even for the rest of the shows in 2018, I didn't use it. I see guys like these YouTubers fucking using Tren off season.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of content creators that are they're using it as a meme and they're joking about it, but then they take it.
That is nuts.
Right.
And
It's
even for me, like being from Egypt where, steroids are just so normal.
Yeah.
And I tell people, test is the best. Tren is not something to fuck around. It's the worst.
Right.
And the thing about Tren that a lot of people might not know is the psychological effects that it has on the brain.
Yeah. I think most people know that now. I think they have an understanding now.
Because some of these effects are irreversible on the brain. Like it's and I know people, I remember people back in Egypt who used Tren a lot. Bro, they gave sociopath vibes.
Yeah.
Like even when they talk, like their eyes are like all widen up and they kind of talk like that. And you can tell, you can look at the guy and you're like, this guy's brain is fried. And that's Tren. Tren does that. Literally fries your brain.
So I haven't taken Tren, and my coach wanted me to start Tren 2 weeks ago for this first pro show prep. And I said no.
Yeah.
Now, I want to believe that all of this, my dream of getting to Olympia, can be done without Tren. And
I think it can.
I truly want to.
I think it can. Absolutely. I think it can. You can replace Tren with more test and growth hormone as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what about for that crispy look, I guess?
That's the diet, man. That's really the diet.
I guess, well, I mean,
Winstrol,
you could argue that the full hardening look on a flat dieted physique would be like what? Like Winstrol, Masteron.
So Masteron depends, bro. So a lot of people use Masteron without testing their sex binding hormone. I don't think people. So you have the SHBG or SHBG. Yeah, SHBG hormone. So if that's low, then Masteron will do nothing for you. If it's high, then you take Masteron. The receptors of Masteron binds to the sex binding hormone, and that leaves more receptors for testosterone. If it's low, then your receptors are already being binded to testosterone, and Masteron will not do anything. That's what Masteron is used for. Masteron and Proviron as well. That's why some people who have erectile dysfunction, when they go do blood tests, an educated endocrinologist will test for the sex binding hormone. And if it's high, they will prescribe Proviron. Proviron will bind to the SHBG hormones.
Increase your free test.
And it will free your test up in your bloodstream. And then your sex drive will be restored. So Masteron might not do much. What you really need is test hardens you. The most contributing thing to hardness is low estrogen.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
So you're basically saying like high test, low estrogen.
Low estrogen.
Yeah.
And the problem with most bodybuilders is that they don't think that their that their estrogen is low enough, or they don't know that their estrogen is high or low enough. You'd be surprised if you go test your estrogen right now, it'll probably be higher than you expect.
I think I personally am a little different in that case because I had those 3 years of low estrogen and it was really bad.
Okay.
It was really bad. I would get my blood work done and I'd be thinking that my estrogen is hopefully within range or like in the middle of the range, but no, it'd be like 14 or 10 or something.
Very low.
It would be low. So
by the way, that's a good thing.
For looking crispy.
For looking crispy, that's a genetically good thing.
Okay.
Like most bodybuilders genetically, when you talk about genetics and steroids, when you say this guy has good genetics in terms of receiving or his body dealing with steroids, it's the fact that he converts little to estrogen. If someone has a high conversion rate of testosterone to estrogen, then they get all the side effects: the acne, the high blood pressure, the skin turning red, the water retention, the emotional mood swings. But if your body doesn't convert to estrogen easily, that's the perfect candidate.
So I think the one concern I have that I've noticed some coaches do, some coaches don't. Some coaches put in like, aromatase inhibitors pretty early on. Like, I guess, how close to show day do you feel like you can wait before you lower your estrogen?
No. Estrogen has to be low throughout the whole prep.
But I mean, I feel like that's not conducive to your health and to growth. Like if your estrogen's below reference range.
No, it has to be within reference range.
Within reference range, not. What do you mean by low then?
Low within reference. So most bodybuilders, when they test their estrogen, it's actually much higher than the reference range. Way higher. But if you're in reference range during your prep, that's what you need to be.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right. Within reference range.
Within reference range.
Okay, that makes sense.
You can go a little bit low on the reference range when you get closer to your show.
Yeah.
Like last 2-3 weeks.
Right.
That's when you really drive it down. But other than that, throughout the whole prep, it has to be within range. Not within range compared to your testosterone.
Yeah.
Within range of your actual body.
Your actual.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. Do you know anything regarding like, what is it, like fat modulated by estrogen, or I guess
the drugs related to estrogen?
No, it's like some bodybuilders will lower your estrogen throughout prep, especially towards the end, because there's certain like fat.
Yeah, for sure. I did that. Yeah, of course. So what about it?
I guess that's probably just related to, say, like increasing your aromatase inhibitor intake, like say 2 weeks from the show, if it's not already being crushed by whatever else you're taking.
So the best drug for that is Pharma. So you have 3 drugs. You have Pharma, Aromacin, and Arimidex. Arimidex is useless. Aromacin is the go-to for keeping estrogen in check.
Yeah, and Aromacin.
Yeah, and then when you need to drive it even lower, use Pharma. But the thing is, Pharma will cause a rebound when you stop.
Okay.
But it will drive it very low. Nice. And the thing is, that happened to me, where when I started to introduce Pharma with my Aromacin, in one day, I lost 3 to 4 pounds.
Damn.
During my sleep, during the last 2 weeks of prep, where my body was squeezing in every ounce of whatever's left of me. And I woke up and I stepped on the scale. I'm like, what the fuck? What the hell is happening?
Oh, shit.
And it was all water weight.
Yeah.
Right away.
Right.
Bed was drenched in sweat.
Damn.
That's how fast.
I've seen that happen to me in my body myself. Whenever I've undergone processes like that, and it's just fucking crazy to see just the water come.
Yeah.
You just look dry as shit.
I know.
It's nuts.
Yeah. Veins everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
I just get scared of crashing my estrogen because God, it felt so bad, dude. It feels so
But it's funny you say that, because most people feel bad because the estrogen is high. You know how people complain how they're tired all the time? So tired, bro. Go check your estrogen. It's probably high.
I mean, I feel like they feel the fatigue from both high and low estrogen.
I've never experienced low estrogen except when I'm like close to my contest.
Yeah, you already feel like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually when I test my estrogen, it's always in range.
Okay.
Few times in my off season was way over, like 300.
Damn.
And I was like, oh my God, this is why I'm so in love these days.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And then and I'd be sleepy all the time, no matter what I do. I'm just fucking sleepy. But that's high estrogen.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. I had a lot of other questions that I just want to ask just out of curiosity, like shit about your calories and how hard it was to just eat all that fucking food for the last 10 years.
That's the worst part. That's the worst part of the bodybuilding. The food. Absolute worst part. Eating more was worse than dieting.
Damn.
Yeah. Like, especially in my comeback show. So I had back surgery in 2020 when COVID happened. And that's when I retired the first time. Retired completely. I was done. And then I did a comeback 2022 just for the hell of it. Just to feel like, can I really do it if I really wanted to? I came back. I placed third in Vancouver Pro. In that prep, there were days where I ate 8,800 calories.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. 8,800 calories. And I used insulin in that prep too, which I've never had before.
You never had previously to...
I've used insulin experimenting, like I just experimented with it maybe 4 weeks at a time. But in my comeback prep in 2022, to regain as much size in like 6 months, I used insulin. And I was using it like twice a day with like the big meals or 3 times a day.
Was it short or long acting?
Short acting.
Short acting.
Yeah. And the food was the most disgusting process ever. It's like you want to get a stick and just shove it down. And I tell the coach, like I'd be gagging while eating.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, Coach, I can't do it. And he's like, I'm like, and I'd be like, my stomach hurts, I have diarrhea. He's like, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. You can have diarrhea. Just eat all the food.
That's insane.
But it's coming all out. It's not digesting. He'd be like, yeah, it's fine. Just keep shoving.
That's crazy.
He'd be like, just keep shoving your face.
What?
I swear to God.
I feel like these days digestion is a very important part of like bodybuilding now.
So what usually happens? It's like the first day or two, and miraculously your body
And then your body adjusts.
And then something worse happens. Now your body after a week is like, hey, 8,000 calories is not so bad. And then you're on 3,000 and then you feel like you're some...
Absolute dog shit.
Yeah, you feel like you're in a desert starving for food.
Yeah, for sure.
And like you'd eat everything and it would just... After, I remember this very clearly, after several times of those 9,000, 8,000 calorie days, then when I would do them getting closer to the prep, I've done them a lot now and I stopped getting diarrhea and everything. The food would go in like I'm not eating. And I would eat like fucking waffles and honey and jam. And I'd eat like 8 of them. And it's like I didn't eat. It's like I'm still hungry. And I text my coach. I'm like, what is happening? Why am I hungry after a 2,000 calorie meal? He's like, yeah, I told you that would happen. You just have to get used to it. So your body gets used to it. But to get to that point, absolutely torture. Reminds me of the movie Seven. You see that movie with Brad Pitt?
No.
You have to watch it. It's an old classic movie. You have to see it. So it's like a serial killer goes killing people based on the 7 deadly sins. So one of them is greed. And he basically points a gun to someone and he has to eat till he dies.
Wow.
It's messed up. That's exactly how I felt when I was eating. Just like, it was gluttony. I think that was the sin.
Gluttony.
Gluttony, yeah. Not greed. I don't remember what happened with greed, but gluttony, yeah. It felt the same thing.
That's insanity, bro.
It was horrible.
That's insanity.
Yeah. Bodybuilding, like, see,
Yeah.
the more we talk about it, the more I realize how it's an insane sport.
Right. There's so much that I want to ask you, and there's so much to talk about, but we're running out of time. But
What are some of the questions that we got on the...
yeah.
We can do like a quick 5 to 10 minute like fire questions with
Right.
quick answers, quick...
Subagoose asks, any regrets? What worries you?
Any regrets? What worries me?
Yeah,
No, I don't have regrets in my bodybuilding career.
Nice.
I don't have any at all. What worries me? To be honest, the most thing that worries me is I got COVID and I was sick. And I'm just worried of the side effects that I'm going to get later on because everything that I'm seeing related to that is just absolutely mortifying. That's the only thing I'm worried about.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably worried about aging too. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like bodybuilders, I feel like it's not a weird thing for especially engineer bodybuilders after their bodybuilding career to move on to like biohacking.
Yeah, I guess so. You can use Botox too for it.
Botox. D2UFOF asks, if you were in pro bodybuilding, what would be your dream job?
Formula One driver. That's what I'm trying. I want to be a race car driver now.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I bought
You love living life on the edge, huh?
I bought a simulator at home, and I have another account on Instagram where I just race online.
Yeah.
It's like an official, it's an official organization with like racing people online and shit. And in 5 years, I'm hoping I'm gonna race real cars.
That's fucking sick, bro. Just imagine you fucking 300-pound dude. And
Oh no! I'd probably be down to like 120, 130 pounds.
130.
Have to. Every kilogram counts. When you're
Holy
racing.
shit.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't see you losing all that weight, bro.
I know it's maybe I'm gonna be maybe that's gonna be my thing. Like
Honestly,
I'm gonna be the race car driver that's jacked. You know.
It would be insulting for me to see your biceps shrink.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
TMR Dove asks some questions.
Oh, I have to see it.
Yes, I don't know what he said. So.
Oh, I don't know what that language is.
Oh, you don't?
No, that's Hebrew. That's not Arabic.
I feel like he came from Okay. The last question you don't have to. Bashar Nujadot asks, what's the cycle that you use for Mr. Olympia?
So the thing with that cycle was that I was already cycling all year. I did New York Pro, Toronto Pro, Vancouver Pro. So I couldn't really go crazy on the Olympia.
Okay.
Like it was the last show of the year.
Right.
So I think I was running maybe 1,000 tests. I was running 10 units of pharmaceutical growth hormone.
Was this towards the end of...
Yeah, that was like the last 10 weeks before the Olympia. I was running 75 mcgs of Cytomel. And I was running... I think I went back on Winstrol at 400 milligrams a week. And I didn't use clenbuterol because I'd already done that like twice a year. And clen's not really good for your heart.
Yeah.
And I think that was it. It wasn't that much. Like the only thing that was high was the GH.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Damn. What a drastic change.
Yeah, I know. Because like I've put everything in initially in the year. And like I can't keep beating the shit out of my body.
Yeah. Right.
So at that point, I just wanted to maintain what I had. And then just kind of display it. And that's it.
Makes sense. Do you feel like it caused a drastic change in your stage shape?
What caused the drastic change was I cheated a few times during my Olympia prep.
Okay.
Because I was competing from the year before. I turned pro. And then New York, and then the whole year. Like New York starts early, and then Olympia is like in the end. I mentally, I was done. I was cooked.
I see.
I couldn't. And I remember my relationship at the time, that's when it took a big hit. It was really starting to strain the relationship, and I'd get so stressed. I'll never forget that day. 3:00 in the morning, I left home. I went to a gas station, and I bought a huge cookie, and I started eating in the car.
A huge cookie?
Yeah, that was horrible. That goes back to the question of, do I regret anything? Probably that. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. That's fucking sick, bro. Honestly, I think that's all the time we have, but where can
That's good.
find
It
you?
was a pleasure coming here.
Where can everybody find you?
Follow my Instagram at the Durrah, and that's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have your YouTube channel too. Is that also just the Durrah?
So I started an English YouTube channel, and hopefully you guys can watch that because the views are just horrible. It's a new YouTube channel. So also just type the Durrah on YouTube and it's gonna pop up.
Okay. Is the Arab channel also the Durrah?
Yeah. The Arab channel is Durrah 1.
Oh, Durrah 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sick. Thank you for coming on, bro. And thank you for flying all the way from Montreal too.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, man. It was a pleasure being
That
here.
was fucking sick.
Awesome.
I feel like we could talk for like 3 more
I know.
bodybuilding, but we'll have to do another one next time. So thank you guys for watching
guys.
again. Follow him, the Durrah. Fucking sick guy, super educational, very informative, and honestly, I feel like we have a lot. And we found out that we have a lot in
We do.
in
We
some
do.
of the funniest
Yeah.
ways too. So thanks guys for watching again.
Peace.
If you guys would like to support the podcast, you can by rating us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you can find your podcast, or by subscribing to the YouTube channel and clicking the bell button because it helps us get bigger and greater guests like this guy today. So love you guys. See you guys next time. Peace.